Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Tahir Harzallah, Associate Director of Outreach and Grassroots Organizing, coming at you here from Washington, D.C., where we will discuss today the most important topic that we've been working on, a campaign, a project that we've been working on so diligently over the past few months, which is our boycott of Israeli dates. We will be joined by two extraordinary guests, and we're very excited for this program. Over the years, American Muslims for Palestine has led a national boycott of Israeli dates as a response to the Palestinian civil society's call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions of Israel. Israeli dates imports have dropped dramatically over the years. According to recent data in the USDA's Economic Research Service, Israeli date imports have dropped to 2.5 million pounds for the market year 2019-2020. In comparison to 6.9 million pounds the year before. This Ramadan and beyond, we are asking all to boycott Israeli dates, many of which are grown and packaged in illegal Israeli settlements in the Jordan Valley and the Palestinian West Bank. When you boycott these dates, you're taking a stand against Israel's colonization of Palestinian land and the exploitation of Palestinian land and labor. Today, we will shine the light on the Palestinian date sector, and we are joined by two extraordinary guests. Our first is Dr. Ismail Du'aiq, an advisor for the Palestinian Palm and Date Council, an international expert in date palm cultivation, the former Minister of Agriculture in Palestine, and the Director General of the Union of Agricultural Aid Organizations. And he is based in Jericho. Dr. Ismail, thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to give you my special thanks for joining us and being with us all the way from Jericho, Palestine, to talk about this most important topic. I wanted to ask you some questions to start off until Mr. Salim Abu Ghazala joins us. Tell us a little bit about the Palestinian date industry in general. How much dates does Palestine produce? Where are most dates produced, and who consumes them? Who buys Palestinian dates?
My head. We started planting dates, especially from a variety called Majul, in 1998. It means around 22
Doctor,
years ago.
If you don't mind me cutting
Yes.
you off, Doctor, if you don't mind just letting us see your face. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I can't hear you very well.
Oh, okay. I will raise my voice as much as possible so you can hear me.
Huh?
Go ahead, and I will
Okay.
stop you with my hand when necessary.
So we started in the beginning. The Israelis refused to give us this variety, and anybody planted these seedlings, he has to go to the Israeli military court. We have good relation with the peace movement in Israel in that time, and they help us to bring these seedlings and to plant it in Palestine. So now we are planting around 400,000 seedlings. This is the same thing like what the settlements are planting in the West Bank, especially in Jordan Valley area. We are producing around 15,000 tons. The Israelis are producing around 35,000 tons for one reason, because our seedlings is still small and they are not giving the whole productivity of the trees. We expecting in the coming 5-6 years, we will increase the productivity. Production will be reach maybe 25 to 30,000 tons. Now we are selling with amount of $70 to $80 million. Now we expected in the future to reach maybe around 150 to 200 million dollars. So we around 7,000 workers, 50% of them, they are women, they are working in this sector. Each one tree needed from 2 to 3 days, working days in the year. 2 days in the tree and 1 day in the factory. So this is 20 years ago, there is no Palestinian economy from dates. And now we are covering around 35% from the export of the agriculture products to outside. And it's famous everywhere, the good quality of the Palestinian dates in about more than 26 countries in the world. This is briefly about the sector.
That's extraordinary. And you know, actually, we've seen Palestinian dates here in the U.S. market sold widely, and we are actually partnering with an organization this year, Penny Appeal USA, who is selling Palestinian dates in the U.S. as a way to support Palestinian farmers in Jericho and in the rest of Palestine. Dr. Ismail, I wanted to ask you, are most Palestinian dates produced in Jericho? Where is the vast majority of Palestinian dates grown?
I want to say that we have to talk that the first signal about the history about planting dates in Palestine, it's in Gaza, Khan Yunis. It's around 3,500 years ago. We found a mosaic in a historical place in where they are drawing a tree of dates, and animals are eating, people are eating from this. We can say this is the first tree of life 3,500 years ago.
Wow.
It's in Palestine, in Gaza. In Gaza, they are planting around also 400,000 trees. No, the variety there is different from Jordan Valley in West Bank. They are planting especially, this is called Hayani. This is the red color, where they can eat it only fresh. There is other varieties are planting like Berhi and Bint al-Ishi and other varieties. So in Jordan Valley, the majority of dates around Jericho, especially the land which are not cultivated before. They are planting the first time in the history. This soil is very high concentrated of salt. This is why the quality is coming good and suitable for the people. They like it, the taste and the shape also. So we can say that Jericho, Gift Lake, this is the main two areas for planting of Majul.
Okay, so Majul, as you're saying, is primarily in the Jordan Valley, and Gaza has its own cultivation. Is there an exchange between Gaza and the West Bank insofar as the dates consumed? Are Gazawi dates being consumed in the West Bank and vice versa?
Do you hear me?
I want to say that
okay.
That the people in Gaza, they are consuming more dates than the West Bank. We are sending around 3,000 to 4,000 tons every year to Gaza. And we expected that it will reach, because part from dates are coming from Israel, from settlements, you know. Now the authority in Gaza are controlling this. They want it just from the West Bank, you know. The situation is better than before. And also from Gaza, we are not taking any production because I said, as I said before, it's fresh and you have to consume very quickly in 1 day, not more than that.
Okay. So, Dr. Ismail, a last question for you before I introduce Mr. Salim. What would you say are the major challenges facing Palestinian date producers? How has the occupation impacted your industry?
The first problem for us, conservations of the land and water. The Israel are trying to control the plantation area. This is why now we have very small chances to increase the number of the trees in the Jordan Valley because they are controlling the land and the water. This is the first problem. And the second, the settlements, they are dumping the market inside of Palestine with the bad quality of the dates, you know. Sometimes because they are irrigating, and this is very important, irrigating the dates with the sewage water, not the treated sewage water. This is why they have more problems in the quality, and also they have problems in the biological problems. Sometimes they are exporting to Europe and other countries, and these countries refuse the production and they return it back to Israel. They are dumping this production in the Palestinian market. This is why we have big fight about our market, especially West Bank and Gaza. And the third problem we have insects called red insects of dates, which started in the last 2 years affecting some of the trees. And it's damaging, and this is very dangerous. Until now, we are controlling this insects, and we have a lot of efforts from the farmers and the Ministry of Agriculture to stop distributing these insects in the area. So this is the three problems which we are facing, as I said: land, water from Israelis, and also the disease and the dumping of the market.
Thank you, Dr. Ismail. I want to introduce our other guest, Mr. Salim Abu Ghazala. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Salim Abu Ghazala is a scholar from Jerusalem who was detained during the first Intifada, and after his release continued his higher education and received his bachelor's and master's degrees in economics and development from Al-Quds University. Mr. Abu Ghazala has been working with farmers and the agricultural sector for decades now, and works with Al-Reef for investment and agricultural marketing, an organization that works with farmers to prevent their land from being confiscated. Mr. Abu Ghazala, thank you so much for joining us today. It is an absolute pleasure to have you with us, and I hope you're doing well. And I assume you're joining us from Jerusalem.
Good evening, everybody, and I am so glad that I'm joining this meeting with you and our friends in the United States, and with my teacher, Dr. Ismail Daeq. He's a person who was the founder of PARC, the Palestinian Agriculture Relief Committees, which I've been with them since 30 years. Now I am the director of the Reef company, which belong and owned by PARC. PARC, it's the Palestinian Agriculture Relief Committees. And the main goal for our company is to develop and improve the quality of the agriculture products, especially the olive oil and the majul dates, and looking for potential markets in the local market and abroad. So I am so glad that I'm joining this meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Abu Ghazala, my question for you is how important do you see the cultivation of majul dates in particular to the Palestinian agricultural sector and economy in general?
Yeah, anyhow, I don't want to repeat what Dr. Ismail said, and sorry I didn't follow all the meeting since 12 or 13 minutes. But anyhow, when we are talking about majul dates in the Jordan Valley, we are talking on how we can protect our biggest areas in Palestine from Israeli confiscation. This is the main aspect, at least for me, which I believe in it. It's planting the majul dates. It's very important to protect these huge areas in the Jordan Valley. Second, we can talk about the economic reason for that, and how to create more jobs for the marginalized people whom they are living in the Jordan Valley. Third, we are talking about also food security for the Palestinian people. So these lands before 20 years, it was a desert land. So the Israeli occupation has confiscated hundreds of thousands of these areas since the beginning of the 70s, and they began to plant the dates in general, and especially the majul dates since the middle of the 70s. And the Palestinians in that period, they were not able to plant the majul dates for reasons from the Israeli side. So the Palestinians began in this cultivation in the middle of the 90s. And now we are talking about more than 26 or 25,000 dunams. We are talking about more than 270,000 of majul dates. Our total production, it's around 14,000 tons. So we are talking about a new potential sector, which it have very good trend in the local and the international markets.
And how has your organization helped this sector in particular, and what brands do you work with? Are there any particular companies that you would like to highlight or shine a light on so that consumers in the United States and Europe can make sure that they're buying from Palestinian farmers?
My organization, Park, began in this intervention in the middle of the 90s of the last century. And I think we were the first initiative for that. It was in that period under the vision of Dr. Ismail Dayak in that period, and began Park to support and encourage the Palestinian farmers in the Jordan Valley to go strongly to this sector, especially in that period. There was a lot of studies inside Park talks that the increasing of the salination and the shortage of the sweet water will not help the citrus sector and the banana sector in the future, because it needs a lot of sweet water and less salinated water. So from that, it was the beginning. So we began to support the farmers with the training, with extension, with seedless of majul dates. It was a small project in that period. Then The private sector, after 7-8 years, began to invest strongly in this sector through increasing the areas in the Majul dates, building new filling stations, new stations, refrigerated stations. Then we began to improve our experience by own through our work. Then we began to promote these Majul dates all over the world, and in the last 20 years, I believe the Palestinian people and the private sector, also the NGOs and the role of the ministry, all together succeeded to put the Palestinian Majul dates on the platform and on the plan of the dates. On the map of the dates in more than 25 countries. I think we are just in the beginning. We are just in the beginning. And we think that there is a big potential for improving this sector. Marketing, it's one of the main issues which can be supported from our friends, the Arab world, the Muslim world, all over the world, to support the Palestinian Majul dates, especially the Majul dates which is planted in the Jordan Valley from the Israeli side or the occupation forces. It's planted in the confiscated areas. Right. So it is settlement dates, and the settlements, it's illegal areas according to the international law, and all the outcome of these areas, of these settlements, it's illegal. So this is one point. The second point, the water. The water which the Palestinians are using in their farms, it's a clean water, even from the springs or from the artesian wells. In the Israeli, in the settlements, they are using the sewage water when they clean it for this plantation. So the idea, it's not just economical idea. It's part of our struggle against the occupation. So we are talking about illegal dates. We are talking about supporting the settlements in their illegal procedures. So consuming the Palestinian dates, it's not just something which related to economics. No, it's related to human rights. It's related to the international law. It's related how we can fight together against this illegal situation in Palestine, especially in the Jordan Valley.
Barakallah Feek. Dr. Ismail, I wanted to ask you about what policies the Israelis have put in place to make it more difficult for Palestinians to access the natural water aquifer in the West Bank. I saw a video of you speaking about this issue before, how the Israelis confiscate Palestinian water. They prevent Palestinians from digging deep water wells, and therefore preventing Palestinians from extracting water on their own and forcing Palestinians to buy water from Israeli companies. If you don't mind just touching on this issue, just to explain to our audience the policies put in place by Israel to prevent the growth of the Palestinian date industry. Dr. Ismail?
Yeah. Sorry. If you ask them, they will not allow you to get any one cubic of water from them for irrigation, for agriculture. And the same thing, we have this Gihon company, which established from Jerusalem area to make use the sewage water. Also, a lot of this sewage water from Palestinian area, and they are taking all of the water for the settlement. You know, the Israeli settlers, they are using 5 times, I mean, in the houses, more than what the Palestinians are using in their houses. If you go there, you find all of the swim pools and green areas around the settlements, which irrigated from the stolen water from the Palestinian aquifer, especially the East Aquifer, which is supposed to be to the Palestinians only. We can say that it's a war, and it's part from the struggle with the Israelis, who will control the water and these issues. The Palestinian farmers, they dig some of illegal wells in the area of sea, and they are using the water. Of course, they are using the salty water because the Israelis are digging wells deeper, and they are taking the fresh water, while the Palestinians, they can only dig for 100, 150 meters, and a shallow aquifer, it's a very high concentrate of salt. This is what we are trying now to solve this problem by using a new technology called electromagnetic, where we can reduce the salt in the water for 50 or 70%. This technology started to work. This is why I want to tell you that the Israelis are taking more quantity of production. If one tree in Palestinian areas are giving 60 to 70 kilo per tree, the Israelis are taking 120 kilo per tree. Also, because they are using the sewage water, they can get more bigger fruits with maybe 30-35 grams per one fruit, while the Palestinians they are concentrating by 15 to 25 grams per fruit. And this is making a big difference in the marketing, because the prices of the marketing for the big fruits is better than the small fruits. Of course, we concentrated more in the quality. We get better quality, and the taste also better. For the health also it's better than the Israeli production.
And Mr. Abu Ghazala, I wanted to ask you about labeling, because one of the key components of our campaign to boycott Israeli dates in the United States has been to focus on particular labels and brands that we've identified being sold in U.S. markets. How are Palestinian dates labeled and exported, and how does that compare with the dates grown on settlements?
Anyhow, this is one of the very complicated issues, which especially the Israeli settlers or the Israeli companies which located in the settlements are using. As Palestinians, more or less than 8 to 10 official companies, which it is officially registered in Palestine, and it have a clear brand and a clear label. Also, these companies works on the private level. For example, our company, we are exporting to different countries, to Spain, to Italy, to France, also to United States through equal exchange, and other partners, which they have their own brand, But these brands, it's written inside it on the label that this is produced from Palestine, and the all address for the producer, the name of the company, the location, the emails, the website, the Facebook, all these details. So this is one of the tools which can be used through this appreciated initiative, which you are working on it, to boycott the Israeli dates in general, and especially the Majul dates, because all the Majul dates, 99% of the Israeli Majul dates are coming from settlements, because these dates cannot be planted or grow outside the Jordan Valley. And most of the Jordan Valley till the area of Galilee Lake, or what we call it Tabariya Lake, it's part of the occupied land, the Palestinian occupied land, at least in 1967. Of course, all Palestine, the 27,000 kilometers are Palestine, our historical homeland, but we are now talking about the part which was occupied in 1967, the 22%. So the Jordan Valley located in this 22%. So we can consider all the Israeli Majul dates are illegal Majul dates. So our brands, one of the tools which can our people and our friends, the Muslims, the Arabs, all the people whom they fighting against and struggling for freedom and peace and justice in the world, can use this tool and check that this box, even the private label which we are using, we should mention the producer and all the details of this producer. This is one of the tools. The second tool, it could be the certificate of origin, which any importer in states or any place in the world can ask for it. And it's the right of the consumer to see that this dates, which you can find it in the supermarkets and all over United States, you can ask for the certificate of origin, which should be, Palestinian certificate of origin, and we can provide the campaign with one of the certificate of origins. These are the two main important tools which can be used to ensure that these dates, it's Palestinian dates. We know, and we have many evidence that the Israeli settlers are using some Arabic words which relate to Al-Quds, to Al-Aqsa, to the Holy Land. It's a kind of cheating against the consumer, not in states, also in Europe, and also the BDS. We are part of this movement in Europe, which they are fighting against the settlements products. So we can provide this campaign with the all name of the Palestinian companies, which are registered and trusted companies to the campaign. And this could be one of the tools which can be used by this initiative to ensure that these dates are Palestinians. But anyhow, it's part of this fight. Always the Israelis cheating, always the Israelis working against the law, and behind the law, it's part of, it's a big process. We have to work on it together, two parts. We are in Palestine, whom we are the producers and the manufacturers and the exporters, and this initiative could be the part which can monitor this plan, not just in Ramadan. It should be all the time, and not just for dates. For the other Palestinian products, It's part of the fight against the occupation and his procedures against the Palestinian people, of course, and the Arabs and the Muslims in all over the world.
Thank you for that. And this is this moves me into the next point that I wanted to address with both of you. I know that the occupation has forced on the Palestinian people an economic condition that forces any Palestinian who is trying to feed their family and trying to provide for their family sometimes to go work in the settlements, sometimes on these date farms as well. How have you guys been dealing with this issue? Have you seen more Palestinians leaving the date industry in the settlements and coming to work in the nourishing and opening of the Palestinian date farms? Has this something that you've been working on as well?
Dr. Ismail.
Salim.
Yeah. You can talk about this.
I didn't hear it very well. I have bad connection with the internet. Maybe Salim can answer this question.
Yeah. Also, the issue about the labor. Part of the goals for the private sector and the cooperatives in this sector to create more jobs for the Palestinian workers, even men or women in this area. I believe in the last statistics which I saw, this sector created more than 6,000 jobs in the Jordan Valley, in the different areas of the sector, even as in the harvest period, or in all the processes all the year for this sector, and in the filling stations. So when we talk about 6,000 jobs, I think this sector, it's the biggest sector now in the Jordan Valley, in the agriculture sector, which create jobs, and this help the people to find alternatives for their income instead of going and working in settlements. So this is part of the Palestinian strategy, even from the private sector or from the official sector, to create more jobs for Palestinians in the Jordan Valley. I hope that I answered the exact thing which you asked for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that. And I wanted to ask you actually specifically, Mr. Abu Ghazala, about your company's work with farmers in Gaza, and if you do intersect or interact with the agricultural sector in Gaza as well.
Yeah, of course. Our company, not our company, the mother of the company, Park, when it have different branches. Gaza, it's part of our homeland, and it's just a government part of the Palestinian governance. Even there is some political problems between the two big political parties, but this didn't go down between the people and the organizations and the cooperatives and the farmers. Yeah, Park have different developmental activities in Gaza since 35 years in different sectors. About Majul dates, I don't think that there is a big work on that, because the Majul dates is planted in the Jordan Valley, but there is different varieties are planted in Gaza, but not Majul dates. Part of the Palestinian companies are sending the Majul dates and the other varieties from the Jordan Valley to Gaza Strip. But in general, the relation between the Palestinians, even in West Bank and Gaza, it's strong. And we hope in the coming elections, it will be a new hope for the Palestinians to unite their unity and their authority together. But till this moment, on the level of major dates, the story, most of the story, it's in the Jordan Valley in the West Bank.
And finally, I wanted to ask you about exporting and the challenges with exporting. Does Israel place limits on the Palestinian date industry or any hurdles in the process of exporting Palestinian dates to the rest of the world, considering that Palestinian dates are directly competing with the dates in the settlements?
I want to ask this, Salim, excuse me. We found that there is a strategy done by the Council of the Dates in Israel, how to control the Palestinian products of dates. And first step, they try with the Palestinian companies to bring them that the Israeli company will market the Palestinian products outside. And they try with all of the Palestinian companies. The majority of the Palestinian companies, they refuse this. Why? Because they are using, there is a boycott in Europe and other countries. And they said to the world that we are marketing the Palestinian products also with the settlements. And why you wanted to make boycott for us as a companies, you know? And they are using that. Second, sometimes they are taking the bad quality and they're seeing that this is Palestinian products. And it's not good for, we have very good attitude about the Palestinian products outside. And we can't control that the Israeli companies will try to put bad image about the Palestinian products. Also, sometimes for the boycott, they are encouraging some of Palestinian companies to use the Palestinian papers, I mean, certification of Palestine, to market the settlements products. Of course, the Palestinian Authority, they find some of the companies and they stop them. Now, in the future, each Palestinian company will put serial number where for each company you will know that this is Palestinian products. So there is a plan how to control the whole market of the dates, especially for Majul, and because Palestinian products are competing the Israeli ones, especially in the quality. This is why they are trying all of the time to put obstacles and problems for us. I hope that the unity of the Palestinian companies and also the control of the Agriculture Ministry and maybe other like Council of the Dates, you know, where they have to be sure that this is Palestinian products and nobody can use the Palestinian in the future, because now Israeli companies are using the holy names like Tumur al-Madina, like Tumur al-Holy Land, Tumur Jordan Valley. You know, the people think that this is Palestinian products. And in reality, this is Israeli products. This is why the connection and the information, exchange of the information between you and us, between the people are supporting the Palestinians, to know exactly which companies and which labels you have to be sure that this is Palestinian or not.
No, thank you so much. This is very helpful for us. I wanted to ask the both of you how you any advice, anything you would like to say to our campaign. We've had our chapters across the United States. Our committee has been working in multiple cities, in 6 or 7 cities across the United States, making sure that our own local markets, our own, Palestinian-owned, Muslim-owned markets are not selling Israeli dates. We've had commitment from stores, store owners who are on video saying that they will not sell Israeli dates. Anything you would like to say to our campaign and to our team working on this campaign in the United States?
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Ismail, welcome.
I think that we have to exchange the information, and we know who are doing well and who are doing wrong. To give you this information and to exchange it, it will help us and you to reach the truth. Also, we have to be sure that the Palestinian companies who are sending the production to United States by Israeli companies. Why? Because FDA is making problems for us when we are exporting to United States. While the Israeli companies, they are entering the borders without any difficulties. We have to struggle, and we have to show them that our production is very good quality, and we have no any remarks in that. Of course, we need your help also on that, how to make maybe lobbying in this issue to encourage the American government.
يبدو في
Salim, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, we believe that this campaign in the States and this strong initiative, it's part of the Palestinian struggle in Palestine against the occupation in general. So the dates, it's part of the story of this occupation, especially in the Jordan Valley. We are here the guards of the land, and we believe that all the Muslims all over the world and in the United States, they will be part of this struggle through this peaceful tool. We believe that this is the tools which we can be used in this unfair and injustice world. So we believe that this initiative is very, very important. First of all, to boycott the Israeli products. Then this campaign should also promote more and more for the Palestinian majul dates and help the Palestinian companies to find new opportunities inside United States to sell more and more of their dates in these huge markets. So we, of course, we want to boycott, but on the other hand, we have to support the Palestinian economy. So this campaign, it should be on 2 levels. The first level to boycott the illegal dates, which is part of the Muslims are buying and supporting the Israelis, and they don't know that they are supporting this occupation, and they are supporting the bullets which it used to be to kill our people in Palestine. On the other hand, how this campaign can help the Palestinian companies to find new markets. The Palestinians are very clever people. We are very good businessmen. We can do very good business. We have a big trust in different countries. We succeeded in the last 15 or 10, 20 years to build this business on scientific basis. So we have the body which present also our companies and our farmers, the Palestinian Palm Council, which can help the campaign with all the names of the companies, the brands, all these details, exchanging information. It's the strong tool to make this campaign succeed. Evidence and the right information, it is very important in this fight against the story of the dates. So we are ready, of course, we are part of this campaign. We are on the other side here in Palestine, and we will fight together for the end to end this occupation, because in the end, when we end this occupation, we will end all the details about this occupation like this campaign. So it's part of our fight, and we will continue for finishing this ugly and the last occupation in the world.
Mr. Salim, Dr. Ismail, we are very, very grateful for your participation with us today, and honestly giving us amazing content and actually some ideas for potential future projects for advocacy and lobbying here in the United States. Again, like you said so eloquently, Mr. Abu Ghazala, that you are the ones on the Palestinian front working on the ground against this occupation, and we will play our role here in the United States to complete your objective and your role. ان شاء الله مشكورين لكم كثير كثير وان شاء الله بنضلنا على تواصل, and for sure we will be in communication about promoting Palestinian brands, not only boycotting Israeli brands. Thank you again for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue this campaign throughout the month of Ramadan. You will see us producing more videos, more graphics, and producing more information to make it easier for you to identify which brands to boycott, and particularly in our markets, brands sold in the US market that we know for certain are grown on Israeli settlements, and even outside of settlements as well, that the Israeli settlement industry is benefiting and profiting from. And so we will do our diligence to ensure that our community is informed about this as they make their purchasing decisions leading up to the blessed and holy month of Ramadan. May your day be blessed, and may we reach this Ramadan and break our fast with justice. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.